Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our third session of our Global In-Market series, which we will provide you in-market tips to navigate your business globally. My name is Belinda Redman. I'm the Director of State Promotions for the Department of Trade and Investment, and I'll be your host. Today, I'll be introducing you to Leonie Muldoon, who is the Chief Executive of Trade and Investment, and also to Adil Akbar from our Malaysia office. You will have the opportunity to ask questions throughout the webinar series. On the top right-hand side of your screen, you will see a question bar. Please write questions throughout the seminar. Following Adil's presentation, we will then ask Leonie and Adil some of the questions that you have raised. Due to time constraints, we may not be able to get to every question, but we assure you we'll collate the questions and put them up online with the seminar. At the end of the session, there will be a short poll. To assist us preparing better seminars such as this one, we ask you to fill out the poll. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce you to the CE of Trade and Investment, Leonie Muldoon.
Thanks, Belinda, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Fortunately, the Minister for Trade and Investment, David Ridgway, is not able to join us this morning. You can imagine that the coronavirus has placed a lot of demands on his time as he works through federal and state support programs for you all. So he sends his apologies. For many of you, it's an extremely difficult environment, and we know and we understand that businesses are suffering at this time, and that it's a very anxious time for people individually and in regard to their corporate health and well-being. We want to provide as much support as we can, and as a department, like everyone, we've had to rethink the ways that we go about doing things in this sort of social distancing world. And we're putting a lot of importance on making sure that we comply with the different restrictions that are in place at the moment. We think that that's a road to getting South Australia back up and running and firing all cylinders as quickly as possible. Because the global pandemic is affecting not just us, but all over the world, we know that the connections with your customers, your importers, and your investors are also at stake here. So that makes it even tougher to get our exports into key markets and our imports into Australia. So that's why we wanted to provide you with the latest information from our trade and investment offices across the world, give you an idea of what's happening on the ground. It's a fast-changing situation here, but it's also very fast-changing in some of our key export markets. South Australian Government has announced, of course, $1 billion economic stimulus package to provide support to companies and communities through a raft of programs and initiatives. And we're working very closely with our federal colleagues, and of course the Australian Government on Monday announced a third stimulus package, which brings total government spending and support from the Reserve Bank to about $320 billion. So all that is designed to support businesses and communities through these difficult and uncertain times. As an agency, we're working with South Australian companies to provide export advice and support, as well as promoting our great state to investors. So it's vital for us that we maintain this incredible momentum, which we were, I guess, riding prior to the COVID-19 crisis. We want to be able to offer you support and guidance as you scope up how to drive your businesses forward in parallel with preparing you to the extent that we can for what might come next. The technology available to us is obviously helping us to interact with each other virtually. We've all become experts at photoshopping our online images. I want to remind you that support's available in key markets overseas, and although you can't be there and flights are very constrained at the moment, there's an opportunity to use us as your arms and legs in market that can help to maintain contact with your customers, with your importers, with your distributors, and can start conversations with potential new customers. We shouldn't let this time be a period where business stops. We have an overseas network that is available to support you, and I really encourage you to use them to the maximum at this time. The webinar sessions are aimed at providing up-to-date situation analysis of the overseas markets and to encourage you to sort of ask questions either online or following the presentation to just make sure that anything that you need to know about the particular market in relation to your individual business is answered. We are continuing to live and work through this health crisis, but the department here is absolutely myopically focused on supporting you to, first of all, take advantage of any niche opportunities that are arising as a result of the crisis, import replacement, specific new opportunities which are coming to the fore. Helping, secondly, to stabilise your business and make sure that you are well advised of all federal and state support packages and in a good position to access them. And thirdly, putting in place mechanisms that will assist you in restarting your business in a post-COVID-19 world. We've established a task force to work with companies and associations to identify the impacts of COVID-19 across South Australia's export sectors and to ensure that our interventions or support are well targeted and are hitting the right spot. Our initial focus has been on impacts on goods exporters and specifically in relation to vulnerable logistics supply chains and freight. This has informed the response this morning from the federal government and the support program that they've announced. So that's $110 million international freight assistance mechanism, which is designed to help our perishable good exporters with export into key overseas markets, specifically China, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the UAE. We're looking to connect our exporters to that program. It will work on a hub and spoke mechanism, so we will be freighting our perishable goods out to Melbourne, and from there they will be connecting with international flights. We'll be communicating with you by email to give you some links as to how you can register specific interest and your particular needs in that regard. So more of that following this BC. And indeed, there is a complex set of support programs and opportunities available. If you need further information in the first instance, I'd like to just direct your attention to business.sa.gov.au website, and we are continually linking to and posting updates there. We're also updating information on our own website that specifically relates to trade and export situation for South Australian companies across our key markets. Now, enough from me. The reason that you've jumped on the line and are joining our webinar today is to hear from our in-market expert. So our South Australian representative in Malaysia is Adil Akbar, and I'd like to hand over to you, Adil. Everybody finds the presentation informative and insightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonie. Good morning, South Australia. It is 9 a.m. here in Kuala Lumpur, and we have just entered our third week under quarantine. Thanks for giving me the opportunity today to share some updates on the Malaysian market and the current impacts of the COVID-19 on the local industry. In my presentation today, I'll give on-the-ground information on the Malaysian market, share what is functioning in the market, information on the industry assistance in place, and what are the emerging opportunities. Finally, I will give my insights on what you need to do now and some tips for actions in anticipation for recovery in the coming future. A quick disclaimer, things are changing daily, so what I might say today may change within a short period of time. However, please be assured that we are monitoring the situation closely, working with clients and customers in the market, and working to triage critical supply chain issues in the first instance, especially on food and medical supplies being the top of the list. As most of you are aware, Malaysia is Australia's 10th largest trading partner. And in fact, last year, South Australia merchandise exports to Malaysia is worth about 1.251 billion Aussie dollars. Two-way trade value between Malaysia and Australia as a whole sits at about $24.2 billion as of 2018. Malaysia is an advanced income nation, middle income nation that is expected to reach high income status by 2024. Hence, market demands for premium, healthy, quality and high-tech goods and services will just increase in the next few years. Next slide, please. So the current market conditions is that as of 18th of March, the Malaysian government has imposed what they call it as a movement control order, or MCO short, from 18th of March until the 14th of April. There is a chance that it may be extended again towards the end of April, depending on how the public is complying to the orders and depending on how the infection rate is. Estimates are saying that infections may peak by mid of this month. The military, police and government volunteer corps are currently enforcing the directives, and the compliance rate are about 97%. Starting from today, the second phase of the MCO has started with additional measures in place. Hence, we are expecting the compliance rate to go much higher, towards 99 or 100%. During this MCO period, only essential services can operate. Borders are closed. Interstate travels requires police permission. Movements of essential goods are allowed. However, for non-essential goods, special exemptions are required for them to be cleared from the congested ports. So what are the essential services that are still running? So there are utilities, telecommunications, postal, transportation, fuel, finance, banking, health, pharmacy, fire, port. Airports are still open. However, I must state that airlines such as Malaysia Airlines have reduced a lot of their flights, and AirAsia have grounded their flights until 21st of April. Security is still operating. Retail and food supply are also open. One latest news that we got yesterday is that Post Malaysia, which is the National Postal Service, have stopped sending overseas postal except for express service. Australia is not in the list that they can't send express service, so we can still receive express service from Malaysia. Despite recent political crisis in late February and early March, the Malaysian government and the social environment is currently stable. Economic stimulus was announced once in the late of February, amount of 20 billion, and another one just last Friday at 230 billion, combining it becoming 250 billion ringgit, which is about approximately 94 billion Aussie dollars. The financial systems remains robust. The currency outlook is stable, as well as the GDP estimate is going to be a bit challenging to estimate currently because of the current situation is still rapidly evolving, and it depends on how long the movement control order is extended. However, one of the research institutes recently made a study and estimated that job losses may be around 1 million, close to 1 million in the best case scenario, and up to 2.4 million in the worst case scenario. The good news is that the healthcare system is managing the situation well, albeit under some strained conditions at the front lines. Next slide, please. So what is currently functioning in the market? As I mentioned earlier, essential services industries are still functioning. For factories, they are allowed to operate subject to approvals. And even with approvals, most of them are only allowed to operate at 50% capacity. Activities related to food supply, regardless upstream, downstream, or even support industries, are still operating. Healthcare, utilities, and financial sector, as I mentioned earlier. Education services are still operating. However, it has to be online learning only. Hotels are still open. However, it's only for those who have checked in before 18th of March, and it's only for those who are staying inside the room without other services in the hotel. For the transport sector, public transport and e-hailing providers remains operational. However, in the second phase of the movement control order, their operating times have been reduced to mostly within daytime, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Airlines, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, most of them have reduced their capacity. Air Asia have cancelled their flights. Malaysia Airlines have cancelled their flights between Kuala Lumpur to Adelaide from the 23rd of March until the 26th of June. In terms of media and telecommunications, they are still open because they are quite critical within this period when the government is asking everyone to stay at home. In fact, the government has announced within the economic stimulus plan that the public will receive free internet within the MCO period. Next, please. For public safety and confidence, the economic stimulus plan is well received by the public. Healthcare sector, as I mentioned earlier, the confidence is high. They are managing the situation very well. The government assures that adequate food stocks are in place. Strict enforcements are happening to ensure there's no price gauging between the traders. And the government has even launched a food security fund worth 100 million ringgit. With the military involvement, compliance have been quite great. Hence, with the enhanced movement control order in several locations, the military and police will be there to enforce. What enhanced MCO means is that it's kind of like a total lockdown. These are only for several locations in Malaysia, which has very high infection rates. So far, due to very limited places are enforced on this, there's not much impact on the industry as a whole. The financial sector is offering loan deferments up to 6 months, starting from today, 1st of April. Hence, this will help in terms of the liquidity in the market. As I mentioned earlier, telecommunications sector has also been giving assistance for free internet. And e-hailing and e-commerce are the crucial point currently to assist moving goods from door to door. So what are the emerging opportunities within this current situation? There are opportunities within food and beverage, especially in terms of healthy range of food, stable shelf life. There's also opportunities in terms of fresh produce. Home and personal care is gaining traction, especially on online sales. Health and medical, edutech solutions, especially for the education institutions. Supply chain management and logistic technologies are becoming more important. The government is also investing towards this area. Online services, digital solutions for businesses as well as SMEs, especially that solutions which are practical and evidence-based as well have good value for the market. Agri-tech is one of the area that we believe it may be emerging as well, especially for integrated planting for food security. Next slide, please. So with this current situation, what I would suggest that you would do is based on certain sectors that I've put on the slides, is like, for example, on e-commerce, please seek strategic and distribution partnerships with the current incumbents in the e-commerce sector. You may, for technology companies, you may want to relook your pricing strategy and adjust it to the current environment. You may want to consider business model based on profit sharing model and subscription services to big corporates. For the food and beverage, I would suggest you to reinforce your customer relationship. Please get in touch with your partners in the market and importers. If they are unable to get back to you soon, please do not despair. It could be because they are being challenged with the current situation on the ground. I'm sure they will get back to you. Or if not, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to represent you to connect with them. I would suggest that you be flexible in managing supplies to market. You may want to consider to be flexible in terms of your minimum order quantity, volume, in terms of pack sizes, as the market people might start getting more price sensitive. So certain premium products, what I would suggest is maybe you have a smaller size packaging to make your products more affordable in the short to medium term period. And please be aware of the shipping options that's available currently. There's market demands for product diversity, especially for healthy and high quality standards products. Again, I must stress that e-commerce is booming currently. So you may want to discuss with your existing partners on how you can enter this e-commerce marketplace in Malaysia and gain some market share during this period. Education sector, we would suggest that you please keep close contacts with agents, and you may want to consider to use more of social media for effective marketing tool. Facebook and Instagram are very popular in Malaysia. You may want to introduce technologies and content that help mediate infrastructure challenges. These are some of the opportunities that you may want to consider. And because Malaysia internet is pretty much mobile as well, apart from home fiber internet, mobile is still preferred with low bandwidth requirements. In terms of the medical sector, you may want to keep a lookout on opportunities from market failure, as well as urgent government demands, for example, the PPEs. Have your product catalog ready and share your USP, and please reach out to me so that once we receive a demand from the Malaysian government or from the private sector, we can quickly reach out to them with your ready product catalog. Last but not least, please get the latest news update from DTI website. We'll be updating on a daily basis on the market situation, and you may want to keep close contact with DTI and Austrade officers onshore. Next, please. Thank you. So what we can do in preparing for recovery, we will have to consider that due to the current situation, not just in Malaysia, but globally, consumers' behavior is going to shift due to the pandemic as well as social distancing. As we can see in other markets, despite they may no longer be under quarantine, people might still be practicing some kind of social distancing. Hence, we are expecting more home time and people will be avoiding public spaces. There will be new digital habits going on, and people will start prioritizing on health, wellness, and home care. Unfortunately, the Malaysian SMEs is going to be very heavily impacted due to the movement control orders, and especially if it gets extended. Hence, this is the best time for you to support your partners in the market by jointly working together with them to manage the crisis and co-investing in mutual future growth. In terms of e-commerce, as I mentioned earlier, more people are going to be online now, and Malaysia leads the region in digital penetration at 81%. It's about 1.6 times higher than Indonesia, and it has one of the highest rate of online shopping in Southeast Asia at 36%. What is important in e-commerce is speed to market, especially for your products, reputation. People are looking for reputational products, availability, as well as price. As e-commerce marketplace, people will be able to compare your price against the others. Hence, please make sure that your price is competitive. We are estimating the demand recovery is going to be towards the end of Q3 and moving into Q4. However, as the situations develop on a daily basis, things might change. However, what we would suggest that you do now is to invest in marketing and promotion for brand building. You may want to consider to use digital channels as, for example, social media and e-marketplace. There's new innovative ways to market right now. Just last year, Lazada in Malaysia has done live streaming as well as shoppertainment during their annual 11/11 online sales to connect with customers, and you can use this channel as well to demonstrate authoritative expertise. Please do market research to understand your customers and the trends. And myself is here, as well as the Austrade team in Malaysia are here to help you. In terms of tight margins, we expect that a lot of not just the enterprise market, but also SMEs is going to be facing compression margins and tight margins. Hence, any products or services that you want to reach out to offer to this market, it has to be practical, require low man hours, and most importantly, to show cost savings or that it can show increased revenue for them. Of course, because of the current situation as well, we expect that digital solutions is going to be welcome. Malaysia has said that it's going to implement 5G network throughout the country by fourth quarter of this year. This is before the outbreak of the crisis. We still expect it's going to be within that quarter or 1 or 2 quarters at most, later than that. Hence, any solutions within 5G network or such as artificial intelligence or big data would be something that the market would be looking for. Myself, as well as the Austrade team, as well as DTI, we are looking into this area as well. And I've been talking to some of the telecommunications providers in market, and there's demand in this area. So last but not least as well, as what Leonie has mentioned earlier, please keep abreast of financial aid, either from the state or federal level. So in this slide, just showing some of the contact details of myself, together with the Senior Trade Investment Commissioner of Austrade, Daniel Havas in Malaysia, as well as, please do not forget, we have a DTI onshore support for you for Southeast Asia. Our contact details are on the slide. Please feel free to take a screenshot. Please do not forget that DTI have a lot of support programs on ground as well. For example, the South Australia Export Accelerator grants, and we also have Trade Start assistance on the ground to assist you. That's all for me for now. I welcome for your questions. Thank you.
Questions. How important is halal certification in Malaysia?
Thanks, Belinda. So halal certification is very important in Malaysia because about 2/3 of the population are Muslims. So for food products, dairy as well as meat, it's a compulsory requirement for it to be halal. For packaged food, you would need to be halal if you would like to enter the food services market. If you would like to enter retail, it'll be less strict. There are 5 certification bodies currently in Australia that is recognized by the Malaysian government. Unfortunately, none of them are in South Australia, but they are all nearby in either Victoria or New South Wales. You can please reach out to them, and they would be more than willing to assist you to get certified. I'm also here to provide advice to you if and when you need. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more quick question, Adil. What are the e-commerce platforms that are most likely to be used in Malaysia?
There are several e-commerce platforms in Malaysia. The popular ones are the 3 key players, which are Lazada, Shopee, and Zalora. Lazada and Shopee are marketplaces that sell essential and non-essential goods. And these can be sold by individuals as well as by companies. For Zalora, they have intention to quickly onboard essential goods because currently they are only specialized on fashion e-commerce platform. So what are the essential goods that these kind of companies are looking for? They would be like food, medical supplies, therapeutic skincare, health supplements, hot items right now onto their platform. So if you have this kind of products, please feel free to reach out to me immediately after this session as well, so that we can hook you up quickly to this platform. Thank you.
Sorry, Adil, one more last question that's come through before I ask Leonie a question. Is camel meat welcome in Malaysia?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Belinda?
It's a question from Will Sammy. Is meat required or welcome in Malaysia?
Camel meat?
Camel meat.
Yeah, there are some restaurants who sell camel meat over here. However, they are not that popular as of now. They are not yet mainstream. But nevertheless, regardless, any types of meat would require to be halal certified. And how it gets halal certified is that the Malaysian government themselves will send representatives from the Islamic Development Department, JAKIM, as well as from the Department of Veterinary Services. They will come to the slaughterhouse to do inspections and audit. You will have to cover the cost for their travel as well for that, as part of that. Happy to share more information later. Thanks.
Thank you. We are going to run over a couple of minutes today, so please stay on and finish the poll. But I just want to throw a question to Leonie, please. This is to do with the air freight support that has come out from the Australian federal government. I'm an exporter. How do I access this support?
Thanks for that question, Belinda. And look, it's a very beneficial scheme. This $110 million air freight support that has been put in place is specifically directed to exporters that are producers of seafood, premium red meat, beef and pork, dairy products, horticulture, premium fruits and packaged salads and vegetables. So exporters that are involved in those sectors or those industries, we will be sending you an email in the next very short while during the course of today, which will give you an opportunity to register on a link that will be contained in the email. If you can then tell us precisely what quantities you are looking to export your particular product and the frequency at which you wish to export, that will go into a consolidation view, and there'll be an opportunity for us to provide some supplement in regard to cost to enable freight, which otherwise might be particularly expensive, to be taken across to Melbourne for international export. At the moment, the scheme is limited to markets including China, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the UAE. But if you're an exporter of the products that I've just referred to and you are targeting the markets referred to, then there's an opportunity to benefit from a federal subsidy to make that cost rate more cost effective. We'll be getting something to you during the course of today. If you can click on the link and register if you're interested, that's the best way of connecting with this support.
Thank you, Leonie. One more quick question. Can I organise my own flight and still be assisted by the government?
That is a possibility. You will need to advise us in advance. Federal government has indicated that they are open to supporting individual flights in certain circumstances, but we'll need to look at those on a case-by-case basis. So the action item there is if you are looking to freight goods directly from South Australia, if you can contact the department, we can coordinate and investigate what type of federal government support will be available.
Excellent. That's all the questions for today. Anything that we haven't answered, we will put up on the website. Please stay on to finish the poll so that we can improve our webinars. Thank you, Leonie. Thank you, Adil. Thank you for people for tuning in, and keep online to the DTI website to see when our next global industry updates are. Thank you, everybody.